Good evening, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to another exciting matchup in this Table Flags section of our Free Enterprise Highway to the Threemus Zone tournament. My name is Xenocat82543, and I'm joined here in the booth by Sheep Launcher. How are you doing tonight,
I'm
Sheep
great.
Launcher?
I'm great, Xenocat. I've been so excited watching this tournament, and I don't think the excitement's going to stop anytime soon with these two runners on our screen, Pancras and Infinius, two very talented runners.
Yeah, it looks like Infinius has a message for our restreamer, Zoe Vermillion, with his naming scheme. But what do you think of these objectives?
So these objectives are interesting. There's the Forge objective, which is always there. Open the Troya Treasury, return the Pan to Yang's wife, and complete the Tower of Zod. You only have to do 3 of them, but 2 of them require the Earth Crystal. So the Earth Crystal is non-negotiable. You got to find it wherever it is.
Yeah, so no matter what our runners do, they will have to find the Earth Crystal in some capacity. They may not have to complete the Tower of Zot, but they will have to find it to at least open the Troya Treasury.
And so we know up here in the booth, we're certainly looking for a root spot for that to be in, but a kind starting character. I think these runners are going to look to go fast out of the gate with Rosa to start.
Yeah, Rosa is... Not only are you guaranteed a white mage, you're guaranteed everyone's favorite white mage. Well, not everyone's, but most people's favorite white mage. She just has such good HP growth. She does learn a couple of utility spells later than Forum, but since with the Tower of Zot being an objective, you don't have to worry about Rosa learning Exit, because she will learn Exit eventually.
That's very true. And I guess the answer to Infinius' question is with its hooves.
That would make sense.
I'm not huge into Centaur lore, but that's that would be the way I'd approach it. Pancras is no slouch himself. Pancras 1-0 in the table flags after advancing directly from the group stages. What are you expecting these runners, Xenocat, to look to do first?
I would not be surprised by if either of them go to, say, Watery Pass or to Mysidia to check those free characters and maybe do a bit of looting along the side. But then I expect we'll start seeing some clearing of some of the early overworld locations like Antlion and Fabul.
Certainly, it helps to have some idea of the characters that are waiting in the seed. Permajoin is on. Once a character joins, you can't kick them out. So they might be cycled through because the buy flag is on, but it looks like we are underway.
And it looks like our Rosa is joined by a Sid tonight as the second character with a free darkness crystal.
Wow. So the moon is open, and both runners decide to take the Sid. I like having Sid. Sid is great in the early game because he starts at a very high level. You can get some pretty good weapons for him right away, and also by the end game he can reduce his agility so that he's a very good anchor for the Zeromus fight.
Yeah, Sid can be a really great character for the overworld. He can make your overworld extremely smooth. He's basically can solo most of the overworld by himself.
Yeah, and especially if you find some kind of ogre axe for him, even a poison axe will do in a pinch. He can really carry the team for a while. And Pancras wasting no time, gonna summon that lunar whale.
Yeah, makes sense to check this gated character right away, as we see Infinius has found a Palom in the Watery Pass. Palom is also a very strong character for early game damage. It only takes him a little bit of experience to get those level 2 elemental spells, and and not too much longer to get to Virus and Quake, which are very powerful for the early game.
And Infinius decides to pick him up. Infinius, by the way, in case you missed it, was in the Magma Roots of this tournament. went 3-0 in the Magma Route against some very very talented runners, and in the play-in race took the whole thing. So Infinius is riding high on this wave, and he'll look to continue that here.
Yeah, it looks like dipping into the back of the watery pass for a little extra loot, not finding a whole lot, as Pancras finds a Porum and a Cane here in Mysidia.
The Porum, you can't see Pancras having much of a use for since we already have Rosa, but the Cane maybe.
Not with Sid. Cane and Sid have a lot of overlap in terms of their equipment, and if you already took the Sid, I don't see either runner taking the Cane along.
And in fact, Pancras kicks him to the curb, at least for now. The curb being the Tower of Wishes.
And it looks like Pancras is going to be checking our Moon character.
There's also a very nice shop up there, a gated shop that contains some of the higher items that are going to be available for sale. Maybe looking for either choose, something like that.
Yeah, and we see a Vanilla Edward hanging out in Damcian.
Zoe Vanillion strikes again.
I don't think either of our runners are going to be taking this Edward. But who is our character on the Lunar Dais? It's a Moontella.
The substitute old man, that is... I think that's close enough for French vanilla, don't you think?
I'd say that's French vanilla, yeah.
And Tella is
So we have
fantastic addition to this team. Xenocat, Tella pretty much opens up every grind opportunity you're going to need here.
Yeah, once our runners can get through Mount Ordeals and get Tella's spells online, Tella opens up the very important D-Machine grind in the Giant of Babel, which both of our runners already have access to thanks to that starting Darkness Crystal. So if they want, they can go immediately into the Giant of Babel and grind themselves up to Zeromus levels before they even get started on this seed.
There are still a couple of free character spots to check. No, I think we've seen all the free ones that are available, except for Ordeals. But who else are you looking to round out your party if you're in this situation?
At this point, I'm honestly looking for either another Palom or Iridia. I want more black mages to slingshot to very high levels, maybe a Yon. Anyone who I can get a lot of experience on very quickly.
Young would be a very nice pickup, I think, because you don't need any kind of equipment for him at all. All you need are some levels, and that's what the D-Machine grind is going to get you.
Yeah.
Pancras is looting the watery pass back here, and Infinius, meanwhile, is diving the Antlion Cave. Speaking of a sick weapon, there's a poison axe.
And we see our boss here in the Antlion Cave is Baigen, which is kind of rude, but this spot is not particularly threatening, no matter who ends up here, so I don't anticipate Infinius having any troubles with this boss.
No, it'd be nice if they found a Gaia drum or something to take down Baigen in one shot, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue, and Baigen can be very, very rude somewhere else, like up on the moon, so you'll take him here.
Yeah, the physical attack at this spot is very low, and Baigen doesn't do a whole lot of magic.
No, especially since one of those arms is down. That vampire spell is annoying, but it's only being done half the time. Pancras going to see that Edward and Damcian. Maybe he'll surprise us and round out his party with a bard. I doubt it, though.
Nope.
Infinius is through that Baigen, gets half of that first objective, gets the Adamant.
Yeah. To answer questions in chat about the flags of the table flags, the table flags are similar to the group flags in that we still have the free characters on. However, you won't be seeing early edges on table flags, as edge is now restricted behind key items. As well, in group flags, once you said goodbye to a character, they were gone forever. You could never get them back. This time, you can tell characters to leave your to stay out of your party as much as you want. They'll just go to the Tower of Mysidia and hang out. But once you take someone into your party, they're stuck with you for good. And you've got to deal with that character forever.
Yeah, and there are a couple of other
back.
there are a couple of other differences in the flags as well. For example, the treasure, which was on T Wildish in the group flags, now on T Pro. So the looting might be a little more intense because you're going to get less really high tier stuff. Also, the shops are at S Pro instead of S Standard. And sadly, the spoon flag is off, so no, we cannot equip our bard and make him a murder bard.
Sadly, indeed. Additionally, we don't have the Dwarf Castle Warp Glitch, so if you want the item from the Sealed Cave, you have to go through the Sealed Cave to get it. And Sirens are not going to be available in this seed, except as randomly appearing in chests, where you can get one at a time, or you might be able to buy them from Kokol's shop, but those are the only two sources.
Yes, even the alerts in the Tower of Babel won't have them for Edge to steal, even if you find an Edge who is gated, because the Sirens are just not available to steal from them. We can turn that off, and we've done that. So that's why the D-Machine grind is so important, and it's so important for these runners to have that bastard.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we see Infinius has headed over to Babel to help defend it from a water hag. Apparently the water hag forgot to bring its friends today.
3 hits and that water hag is down. Pancras doing some boss checks, finds Dark Knight Cecil rusting his armor in the waterfall.
Yeah, and that looks like Pancras might be considering taking this Rosa on Mount Hobbs, or just fighting Bahamut for experience.
And also might be looking for the treasures in the back of Hobbs. Since he has a Tela, he can exit out of there quickly, and there might be some good things back here.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we do see a hook on Infinius' side, which means that we may have a hook seed.
So in case you don't know, there are 2 ways underground. There's the Magma Key and the hook. Magma Key, you drop it in the well at Agart, you go straight down into the underground. The hook, you have to take the roundabout way through Cave Eblin. You have to fight 2 bosses on the way there that are not fun, depending on who you get. So the hook is definitely the longer route to take, and we hope that the Magma Key isn't available, so these runners have to face that particular gauntlet.
Yeah,
at least I do.
Just a Slumber Sword and a Bacchus on the back of Mount Hobbs, so not that much value from looting there. The Bacchus is nice because Bacchuses are not available in shops and will save 1 Berserk cast, but with 2 people who can cast Berserk once Tela gets through Ordeals, it may not be the most valuable. It loses a little bit of its value, I should say.
Also, I believe with that fight on Hobbs, Palom is now up to at least 1 level 2 spell, which will help with these other overworld checks.
Yeah. Having those access to those level 2 elemental spells is huge for Palom.
Was that a Thunderclaw available in the Fabul shop?
I believe it was.
Thunderclaw. Oh! You never know when you're going to need one against a Root Odin.
And we see Infinius now climbing up Mount Ordeals. Does not know about the Tele in this seed yet, but we just have another Rosa up here.
And Infinius says no. Do you think there's ever a meta for a double Rosa in these situations where one of them is a white mage and one of them, maybe if you find an Artemis bow somewhere, can really pile on the damage?
I think it's possible, but I would really like to have at least a heroine robe and a decent bow if I'm going to take 2 Rosas.
Pancras gets his hook as Infinius stares down the dolls that somebody has left behind on the bridge. Bridge child, put away your toys.
Yeah, the other advantage of taking multiple Rosas is if you don't have a lot of black mages to slingshot up to ridiculous levels, white mages will work for damage in a Reflect Zeromus fight, as that white spell can be quite almost as powerful as Nuke.
Yes, it's not ideal because white has a longer casting time, but if you don't find black mages, beggars can't be choosers.
And we see Pancras picking up some heal potions in the shop at Silvera. Heal potions are a really nice pickup on these flags.
When are they most useful?
They're cheap, and they're very useful for, say, a Rude Valvalis who will turn your party to stone, or a Dark Elf for getting rid of those picky spells.
Infinius playing with fire there left one doll in the back alive, but manages to get through, and this is Elements, it's not Mylon Z. So it's sort of vanilla.
It looks like vanilla, but it's not, we swear.
It's Neapolitan. Vanilla on one side and then other flavors on the rest.
Yeah, I mean, but Infinius isn't showing us any of the other flavors.
Well, that's the way I approach Neapolitan ice cream too.
Oh, we have Pancras now getting to Ordeals, just a little bit behind Infinius, but does already have that Tele from the moon.
Yeah, and Pancras faded Antlion, which isn't going to hurt him just yet.
And Ordeals is just a ninja hat, but it's still going to be quite valuable for getting Tele spells online.
Certainly, Tela's expanded spell list is the real prize at the top of Ordeals. You'll even fight an annoying Dr. Luggage at the top to deal with that. And our tracker bad karma correcting me. Sorry about that. Pancras did do Antlion. So both runners mostly doing the same check so far. Pancras going to discover the Neapolitan ice cream waiting for him at the element spot.
And Infinius is out of that little changing room at the top of Ordeals and is now going to be making his way down Ordeals to our next key item check. Or maybe to check that character on the moon.
That is a changing room, because literally you change there.
Exactly.
And there are mirrors.
Yeah. It's definitely a changing room.
All you need is an annoying salesperson knocking every so often. You done yet?
Well, that's the boss that comes out of the mirror.
Yes. Yes, I've had to deal with a few Dark Knight Cecils in my time. Infinius decides that now is the time to raise the big whale. Probably going to go up and check that character, and is going to be delighted.
Yeah, and has not checked the Mysidia characters. Might peek those two characters first, but I'm pretty sure he will check the moon character.
I don't expect anybody is in a big hurry to dive the hook route just yet, but there is a character waiting back there that could be useful. And there are a couple of other overworld checks to exhaust.
Yeah, there still could be a hidden D-Mist in Mist Cave, or, if the seed is being really rude, up in the Tower of Zod at the Magus Sisters location. And our runners still have not checked Baron Inn.
If you have the hook, do you ever check Mega Sisters without having the Earth Crystal? I think
No.
if that happens, I lose.
Yeah, no. I don't think either of our runners will be heading up to the Tower of Zot to check for a D-Mist at that first location.
Unless you're really hurting for gear and want to bundle it in with a Troya sub-treasury and a Flame Dog check.
And we see Infinius is heading up to the moon, likely going to be checking that character, while Pancras, it looks like, is headed to Baron. Going to be heading in and doing the Baron Inn check.
Time to see who's hanging out having refreshments today, and it is a Rubicante in the first spot.
Having a meal with Kane. How fitting.
Are they having chicken legs? Turkey legs? That was a quick leg, and CPU in the second spot. Not too rough.
This is not the spot you want to see CPU. It's got a pretty decent amount of HP for an overworld boss, but it's fairly slow. So this is going to be more of a slow fight than a difficult fight.
The virus gets off after the wall, so Pancras trying to race against the Globe 199s won't win that race.
Nope, this is a spot where they will do quad 9 damage. Although there are a few places where Globe 199 won't do 9,999 damage.
Infinius grabbed his Tela, returns to the blue planet. We'll see what he decides to do at this point.
Infinius looks to be heading back into the Tower of Wishes to pick up another character.
Infinius thinks he has his party mapped out, and he might be looking to grind.
Taking a cane. Interesting. Kane is not a character that benefits a whole lot from a slingshot, but Kane can be a very good physical damage dealer in the late game. So, definitely not the worst character to take.
No, Kane is dependable. If you find one decent weapon for him, certainly can level him up, and he's quick enough he can do some chemistry in a pinch. Certainly has his uses all throughout the game.
To answer the question in chat, there was no other black mage. Hallam is the only black mage that either of our runners have seen, and they've both taken that Palom. And the chain is not dead. We have a twin harp in Baron Inn.
We'll have to see what Pancras decides to do. We'll let Kane hang out with his other traitor twin in the Tower of Wishes for now. And does Pancras follow that chain up and give the people what they want?
Maybe after that shop check.
Tier 2s for sale in Troya.
But looks like Pancras is picking up that hook and looks to be diving down into this hook route.
So the shop down here is nice. You'll probably want to peek that character as well.
And instant trap chest.
You love to see it. When you're lucky, you're lucky.
Yeah, at this point, knowing that trap chest is there, Pancras is free to loot every other chest in Cave Eblon, should he choose to.
Storages and cabins for sale in that Eblin shop.
And Infinius has found the ethers that he was looking for the grind. They are in Kaipo.
Not even going to deal with the true final boss of the game, the Kaipo Inn Lady. Exits out. And so Infinius is set up to...
Yeah, Infinius is completely set up to do his grind. Looks like he's landing outside Baron now to set up the manip.
Yes.
Meanwhile, it looks like Pancras has found a heroine robe here in Eblon Cave. That might be a spicy find for that Rosa.
Second Rosa is still on the table, so one reserve Rosa.
Oh, I don't think if I'm Pancras, I want to be continuing through this hook route. That's an alt gauntlet.
At a very rude spot. So the harp just got a lot more appealing.
Harp, or just doing a D-Machine grind and going up and clearing the moon, even. Because, well, you are guaranteed one way underground without going to the moon. There's nothing preventing the magma key from being up there now that our runners have the hook.
Certainly. Pancras gonna equip that heroine robe. He's gonna go for it.
Yeah, Pancras diving further into this hook route.
I guess there are some people who just don't appreciate the power of music. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, Twin Harp, although music, Cape Magnus is a long check, but it's still a check. And any check that could be a Magma Key and make this hook route irrelevant, especially with an Alt Gauntlet, is worth doing. At least in my opinion.
Infinius looks like he's got the steps down and will start to go off to that giant. And Xenocat, maybe you could give us a refresher on how you're looking to grind it and how you're setting up if you're Infinius here.
So Infinius is using the Baron manipulation chart that a wonderful member of our community, Twisted Flax, put together, which is essentially a chart that tells you that where you save with encounters on, you reset to get a new RNG seed, and then you count the number of steps that it takes outside of Baron till you get your first encounter, and then the chart tells you how many more steps you need to take and which room your D-Machine encounter will be in. And at this point, all Infinius needs to do is go to, I believe with his step count, the Elements room where you fight the Elements boss in the vanilla game, to get and turn on encounters there, and he will get a Searcher and 2 Beamers that, once the Beamers are killed, the Searcher will summon D-Machines as a counter to any damage.
Yeah, and the D-Machines, and the reason why they're so desirable, why we want them so badly, is they are susceptible to weak. And we can put Tella in the middle spot, get his magic accuracy as far up as it will go, and Tella can weak those D-Machines for somebody else to knock down, throw a life potion on them, and get the Searcher again. So it's a very efficient grind once you know how to do it, and that's what Infinius is doing right now.
Yeah. And we see here, D-Lunars are at the King Queen Evelyn spot. Their punches are going to hurt, but this is definitely not the worst boss to see here.
They could be worse. They could be at Rubicante, but they are not nice here at all.
Yeah, getting that blink up on Tella, it's very essential if Tella wants to survive.
3 Star Veils. It looks like Pancras has enough for Lunar Frog strats, and it looks like that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, Rosa, I think, has that Heroine Robe on, which gives her a lot of physical defense and evasion, which is helping her out a lot. And Pancras is getting really lucky, getting both Lunar Frogs on a single Star Veil.
A couple of times Pancras has had luck go for him, and once you reflect those breaths back onto these D-Lunars, they will try and do Virus, but they can't. Frogs can't cast Virus, so it's just a matter of time before these Lunar Frogs go down.
Yeah, and they retain all their weaknesses that they had as Lunar Dragons, so they should go down pretty quickly.
Alright, who's keeping track of how many D-Machines Infinius has done? That's his first, right?
I think that is his first, with a double life glitch as well. Likely did not go for the triples, just to summon that next D-Machine as soon as possible without having to cycle around.
And Pancras, not afraid, doesn't even look like he's going to go back for the safety save, goes right into the gauntlet.
Yeah.
So the gauntlet here, in this situation, and I only remember because I've done this myself, there are 5 fights that are picked from the surrounding area. In the Rubricante spot, the first fight and the last fight are both eggs. So as long as Pancras can recover in time to get those eggs, the eggs won't do anything unless you attack. That gives you enough time to recover.
So there is a little bit of wiggle room here in some of these fights to breathe, but that Telestone taking out those Blade Men, they have a pretty nasty virus counter.
I'm a Blade Man. Possible Morpheus pointing out that the last one catches a green dragon, so before you do anything to it, you definitely want to make sure it stops.
Yeah. Quake, now that Palom has Quake, Quake will take out all of these encounters with no issues. You're not really supposed to have Quake here.
No, this is a spot of the game where Palom isn't supposed to be in your party, so that's why a little kid can break everything.
But Quake, not enough to take out this green dragon in an egg. But Sid's Poison Axe will do it.
Just call Sid the mop-up man. He cleaned that up nicely, and Pancras, as soon as he forgets to miss that pitfall, will go to the Underworld.
Yeah, Pancras getting underground at 34.5 minutes. Not bad.
That's a mom bomb at the top of tower, who is not fun at that spot. Ton of health.
Yeah, Mom Bomb will hit not super hard, but her hits are nothing to sneeze at the top of tower spot, and that spot does have a lot of health, especially with Mom Bomb's extra 9k that she gets.
Infinius, meanwhile, continuing on his grind. It's been a very smooth grind. Our free streamer Zoe saying he's done about 15 D-Machine equivalents. A couple more, and he should feel confident in his levels.
To answer question chat, yes, the King-Queen Eblin spot is 0 XP. So those D-Lunars that Pancras fought did not give any experience. However, one of the advantages of the Alt Gauntlet is that you get the regular experience from the fights, and you get it as you beat each individual fight. So, Palom was able to learn Quake off of the first couple of fights in that Alt Gauntlet, and was then able to use Quake for the rest of the Alt Gauntlet.
I Have we seen a curse ring anywhere yet?
I don't believe either of our runners have seen a curse ring.
I don't believe so as well, so that'll be something to keep an eye out and see if either of our runners go searching in armor shops for it. It's a vanilla Leviathan and a Dark Elf hanging out of Feymarch.
These aren't the worst bosses to have down here, but I can imagine not wanting to take them quite yet.
And the chest in the middle of Feymarch was a Baron key, so go fetch.
Another fetch quest. So many rabbit holes, but we still haven't found either of our objectives.
Infinius wrapping up his grind. We're gonna make sure Tella is safe on the floor and see 850,000 and change in experience.
Yeah. That might not quite be enough to get Palom up to nuke, as he stops just shy, but with a couple of moon bosses, or even just the ribbon room, Palom should be able to get to nuke. And Pancras... Sorry, you can...
I'll take care of it then. Pancras found Valvalis in the doll spot at Dwarf Castle. That's going to be rough.
Yeah, Valvalis at that spot has a lot of HP, since it was originally a split HP between the dolls. Has pretty high physical and magic. It's not a fun spot to fight, and we see a lunar sparkle at this element spot that Infinius is checking just for that little bit of extra experience. Probably not going to take that wyvern.
Nope, just gonna leave that wyvern there. See ya.
Totally makes sense in this case. Just run out of this giant, get out of here. You don't need to take care of this giant at all. Unless, the rudest possibility, a demist hiding at that CPU, holding our Earth Crystal, or something that leads to it.
That would be even more delicious than all the vanilla in the world. It's so delicious it must be fattening.
And we have our job dwarf check. So the seed has been validated by Pancras. Our job dwarf is an aircraft administrator.
Tomar armor shop coming up empty, as Pancras still on the lookout for that curse string, and that curse string is so essential. It decreases all of your stats by 15, including most pertinently the agility stat, which you want your agility on your middle character with these characters to be as slow as possible for Zeromus.
Yeah. And looks like Infinius not going to stop to check Baron in, which we know may not bite him, depending on what's behind that twin harp. Is going to be diving straight down this hook route and should be breezing through these fights. As Pancras has been diving down the Sylvan Cave to visit Yang and set up the first of Sheila's checks, where you go back and talk to Yang's wife in Fabul after talking to Yang in the bed there, and she'll give you a key item.
And it makes sense you check your freebies when you can. You don't want to triple dip Fabul if you don't have to, but there's not too many other great places to check right away, and in fact, not going to check Sheila 1 right away. Parking outside of Baron, gonna see what's behind that Baron key.
This makes sense. There are 2 checks behind this Baron key. One for defeating the boss on the main Baron throne and liberating Baron Castle, and one for defeating the Baron basement throne spot. Although I'm not sure Pancras has the levels to take on the boss in the basement throne at this point.
It also contains a gated weapon and armor shop. No cursed ring there either. I thought about taking a black belt, decided against it, and was going to go underneath the castle.
So I think at this point we've seen all of our gated armor shops, if I'm not mistaken, and no curse rings to be found.
So it'll be a little challenging for our runners. It'll be a real test of skill, and that's exactly what you want to see in this high level competition.
Yes. Infinius already has his agility anchor pretty much set up with that Tella having so many fewer levels compared to everyone else. As long as Tella doesn't gain too many levels at this point, Tella will function perfectly well as an agility anchor.
And you have to imagine Infinius' first move on any fight is going to be to make sure Tella is on the floor.
Yeah, with his levels, for most of his fights, none of his characters but Tella are going to be in any danger of going down. So, should be feeling more than safe enough to take out Tella each fight. Or simply not revive him when healing between fights.
Pancras runs into Pale Dim in the first spot here at Baron Castle. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. Palom has Quake. Pale Dim not wanting to.
Yeah, using that Kamikaze on Tella. Looks like Pancras is planning on using Tella as an anchor as well.
Which makes sense. Tella doesn't really gain any stats when you level him up, so you might as well keep him at the low levels when he's slow anyway.
Yeah, and it looks like Infinius forgot to heal up and so didn't have any MP on his mages and had to take a reset from those deal winners, but shouldn't lose too much time. With 1/10, should have enough MP now, to get through these deal winners without any issue.
Is this King Lear? 3 sisters are on the throne.
Yeah, and the Mega Sisters have taken over the Baron throne tonight. Although with those, is that an album? Whatever, some sort of mage weakness was used on Rosa there and destroyed Cindy.
Yeah, I don't know if she has charm arrows and an elven bow, something like that, but yeah, really doing some work, and the Mega Sisters are going down fast.
Yeah, meanwhile, Infinius making short work of those D-Lunars. Probably not too happy to see an alt gauntlet here. And we just have another Edward sitting in Baron.
He keeps trying, I'll give him that.
He really wants you to take him into your party.
He wants to go on tour, he's a musician.
Yeah. He doesn't want to stay in Mysidia all cooped up in a tower.
And we'll see what the long walk to that pot gets us. Infinius, meanwhile, taking on this gauntlet. That high-level Palom with Quake should take care of most of these fights with that issue.
And that is huge value for Pancras. He's just pulled the pan out of that Baron pot, which is one of our objectives, and puts him just an Earth Crystal away from Go mode.
With 2 item checks coming up, and he's going to go right back down, smack yank at whatever item that is.
Yeah, if we find an Earth Crystal off either the Sylph check or either of Sheila's checks, Pancras is in Go mode right now and will likely pick up an Eddy and maybe do some Eddy strats.
Well, that would be super exciting.
There's a rat tail, which is another free check up on the overworld.
And that gets him to 7 key items. So it's possible at the end of all of this he could have 10.
Yeah, meanwhile, Infinius is done with this ult gauntlet. And we'll be getting underground not too long after Pancras at the 47-minute mark, but keep in mind, that's with a D-Machine grind.
Pancras gonna stop by Sheila before he stops off at the Adamant Grotto. You know, you get a 2-for-1 up here, and it's a required objective anyway.
And we have a Luca key. And the Earth Crystal.
Wow. Pancras is in go mode.
Yeah, and unless Infinius chases this Baron key, I think this is pretty much over. This is Pancras' race to lose.
At 48 minutes, he gets his first objective, and we know that he has a massive advantage. And Pancras needs to figure out who his party is going to be, and it looks like he's going to do the Tower of Zot to see who the 2 characters are up there before he makes that final determination.
And it looks like it's Pancras showing us our favorite game. Rate that treasury. That was an alright treasury. It wasn't amazing. That light sword. Not amazing without a Cecil to wield it.
No, the Silent Staff has its uses, but...
Yeah, I'd give that maybe a 2 out of 10. It's not complete garbage, but not a good treasury.
But it is an objective, and now Pancras has 2 bosses to go before completing the 3rd objective, getting that crystal. Once he does that, he will have 10 key items.
Yeah, so at that point it might actually be faster to take another character, go do a D machine with 10 key items to have a much faster Z fight than doing any strats.
Infinius taking on the Leviathan down in the Fame Arch at the vanilla spot.
This isn't too bad. Vanilla Leviathan doesn't have very strong magic, and with Infinius' levels already at being Zeromus ready, makes sense to take on these bosses while he's in the area.
Certainly, he's not afraid of either Leviathan or Dark Elf down here.
Meanwhile, in the Tower of Zot, we have Odin at the first spot.
At the Mega Sister spot, a little tricky. Has a little bit of health, but Pancras has the tools to deal with it.
Yeah, but Leviathan goes down first on Infinius' side, giving him the last little bit of experience he needs for Palom to learn Nuke. And a vanilla reward for a vanilla boss.
Zoe Vanillion.
Not even saving before diving into this Dark Elf fight. And
Ooh.
that is a very spicy character at the top of Zop. That's Iridia.
And Xenocat, do you take Rydia? She's perfect for slingshotting.
In my mind, I know that if this is a key item, that's going to be 10. Well, this is going to be 10 as soon as I get my crystal. I take that Rydia and I slingshot her.
You can do the same thing with the Young if you want.
I mean, I think this party is looking pretty good for reflect strats with Rydia, Palom, and Rosa. Taking neither for now.
Maybe doesn't want either of them to get experience from this fight, and we'll pick them up in the tower bushes in a minute.
And we have Kainazo up here at the top of Zot. Wrong Fiend.
Yeah, the Fiends are just moving themselves around. Ganetta wanted to learn what it was like to walk a mile in Babel's shoes.
Meanwhile, Infinius gets through that Dark Elf and is rewarded with a Magma Key.
Ooh.
So Feymarch is completely haunted today.
So Infinius has a choice to make, has the levels to do basically whatever he wants, and just a matter of routing decisions.
Yep. Looks like he's heading down to set up the Sheila 1 check. If he does head up to Sheila 1, that will put him much closer to doing Baron than any of the other checks that he has access to.
Although the Sheila 1 does have that Luca key, so if he feels like he's on a chain, he might get baited down there, I don't know.
At this point, I think it's hard to say. You've already done your grind. I mean, you may think that your opponent has done Baron, so if you've gotten... If it's in Baron, you probably lost already, but at the same time, you've already done your grind. But we do see a Dragoon Spear from Zot, which will be very nice for a Kayn.
And Pancras has that option, so does that change your mind about who you take if you're Pancras here?
I still don't think Pancras takes Kayn, but we'll see. Looks like he's setting up the manipulation before taking a 5th character. And meanwhile, it looks like Infinius is doing some menuing outside Baron.
Pancras got a quick fight. I didn't see if that was 2 or 3 steps. But he should know where he is.
Well, looks probably 2 steps since 3 steps is a reset.
Yeah, I don't have the chart up in front of me.
Looks like Infinius is going to do Baron in first, which will cost him a little bit of time. Although, with his levels, these bosses are going to melt away.
Yeah, even that CPU in the 2nd spot. Combined, they have 4,000 health, so a Quake should take them down. Because despite their appearances, they don't actually float.
It looks like Pancras buying some black belts just to get a little bit more damage on his physical fighters. Looks to be getting ready to take Kayn, I would say.
Yeah, he did not sell a Dragoon Spear, which could have gotten him some money to buy some of those nice armor items. So Kane might be the play.
And indeed, Kane is the play.
So it looks like a hybrid strategy from here. Very solid team for that. Get a Star Veil up, reflect nuke in the occasional white, and then have Sid and Kane doing some serious damage.
Yeah, Infinius getting through that Baron in very quickly. And now, looks like is heading for the right play, heading to Baron Castle, is going to be likely liberating Baron, although might peek that Baron basement throne first with all these levels.
Question in chat, why was Pancras fighting those encounters outside of Baron? Because in these flags, you can't run away from battles. And when you go to do your D-Machine grind, the old way was to just go there and walk around where you knew the D-Machines would hang out, and if you didn't get a D-Machine, just run away. Well, if you can't run away, that becomes very problematic. So there's a step manipulation that you can do, and the easiest place to get those battles to manipulate is outside of Baron, because that's where you start the game. Infinius encounters his Pale Dim. Going to take care of that fairly quickly.
Yeah, I don't anticipate Infinius having any trouble with these bosses in Baron.
And Infinius will almost assuredly be led right back down to the pit, right back up to Sheila 2.
But it looks like Infinius is diving the Baron basement throne first.
I don't hate this play. Infinius definitely has the levels to do it. It's maybe a little bit faster to do it at this stage than it is to complete the Baron check and then walk back in Baron Castle. So if you're going to do it, now is a good time, except if it's Ogopogo down here.
Fortunately, it's just a plague, which is a much nicer boss to find here than Ogopogo. I don't even know if we'll see the counts run out.
No, this team puts out a ton of damage, and Infinius will just engage in a damage race here. Pancras, meanwhile, on his grind, I think one dragon. How many would you think he'd be looking to do here, Xenocat?
I'd say no more than 5 or 6 with single life glitches, although he's getting more, because with 10 key items you really don't need that many. And since he's getting double life glitches, this is looking like maybe 4.
Infinius is through, defeating the Baron Throne. Gets a life staff from that plague.
Very nice staff for Rosa, but not what you're looking for.
No, although Rosa will be very happy to have that. That is the other downside to doing the Baron Throne and Basement Throne at this point. If Infinius had done it afterward, he almost certainly would have reset and saved himself a walk.
Yeah. Looks like Pancras is getting ready to wrap up this grind, has thrown a week out on the Searcher.
his health. Single Quake takes down the sisters, and Infinius will soon have his ban.
Yeah, but with the pan checks and Zot still ahead of him, I think this is Pancras' race to lose.
He has the advantage. I don't know by how much. It's not forever. Infinius already has his grind done, but we will see.
It looks like that week on the Searcher was a mistake, as Tella cast a Cure 4 on the Searcher.
Interesting. He's done 3, I believe, and gotten double life glitches on 2 of them, so...
Probably looking for just one more. But Infinius now has his pan, and looks like is beelining it for these pan checks, since this is an objective.
This is going to be really close. I don't think, if Pancras is ahead, I don't think it's by more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think Pancras is ahead by maybe the Zot check. I think that's the time difference between them. To answer question, chat, Palom is not getting a slingshot in Pancras' D machine.
But he is getting double the experience like everybody else is, because Pancras did his grind with 10 key items.
Yeah, so as we see, Palom does get nuke. And Kane is over level 60.
He's our big beefy boy. A very nice effective grind by Pancras, went very smoothly.
Yeah. And Infinius has his rat tail, is heading into Sheila to get that Earth Crystal.
And we'll get a sense of how far behind Infinius feels by the amount of raiding he does on Destroy a Treasury.
Yeah. Ah yes, and get his Luca key, because he hadn't done Sheila 1 yet.
Yeah, so a bit more than 2 minutes. The Zot check, it takes a little bit of time, so Pancras up on the moon, gonna make that walk.
Yeah. I think it would take a Z wipe at this point for Infinius to catch up. But it looks like Infinius is going to stop and raid the treasury. Or not.
No, so...
Just
Infinius,
completing the objective.
Infinius either is completely confident in what he has or feels behind and needs to get going. He knows he has go mode.
Yeah.
Pancras has been clinical enough in what he's done that... do you think he feels behind at all?
I can't imagine Pancras feels behind, or at least far behind. He hasn't taken any really nasty wipes. He hasn't He's been clearing things pretty efficiently. And he was able to do that grind with 10 key items.
Yeah, it is a mindset thing as well, though. I mean, I'm not a good racer by any stretch, but I always feel behind until I actually finish.
That is certainly an easy mindset to get into. But I think with diving the hook route before even full clearing the overworld, and then finding that Baron key and chasing it pretty quickly, I wouldn't feel that far behind.
Going to menu, and he is on his way.
So as Pancras walks through the Crystal Palace, I'm seeing some flags with a question mark and some sort of letter coming out in chat. Do you know what this is all about, Sheep Launcher?
Well, I know that Z is the 26th letter of the alphabet. Is that what you were asking? No, Zeromus is he's always going to be at the end, at the same place. He's just he's too big, he's too complicated, he's just too much to put him anywhere else. But we gotta randomize him somehow, so the way we randomize him is we give him a new sprite. And so that leads us to ask a question on every seed. Xenocat, do the honors.
Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
There are so many butts to kick. And here we go. Pancras in one boss on a walk before Infinius.
And we have Godzillamus.
With a purposeful grimace and a terrible sound. Well, Pancras says he's got to go. Go, go, Godzilla. Setting up those hybrid strats, get that Silk Web off to nerf his first big bang. The nuke on Palom's a little unfortunate, but we'll hopefully be able to recover in time. $8,200 nuke, no big deal.
Yeah. Ooh, I think that might have been a mismenu. Throwing out a Cure 4 for 7,000 damage on Godzillamus.
You know, it was either a mismenu or it was just very generous. Very sporting of Pancras.
Trying to make this race a little bit more exciting.
And then makes up for it with a quad 9 nuke. And these fighters are putting out tons of damage. We'll see if we even see another big bang here.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Infinius has gotten the finished shot, gotten the crystal, and is now making his way down to this Godzilla misfight.
And this fight going along, history showing again and again how nature winds up the folly of man. I mean, these physical fighters are putting out 6k a turn. Each nuke is 9,000 or equivalent. This Godzilla won't be too long now.
Yeah. And we have rocks on Pancraz's screen. And that's the crumble. GG's to Pancraz, finishing in first place with a time of 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 59 seconds.
Oh. Get it. That was pretty much a dinner cat. And we are joined by Pancras.
GG's on your finish, Pancraz. And it looks like we're sorting out a little bit of technical issues with our interview.
Just gotta get those electrons moving again. GG, Pancras.
Oh, thank you.
So that was a very smooth and well-run race, but you had some luck in there, including with those D-Lunar breath strats. How'd you feel you ran that race?
I feel like there were a number of things that I definitely could have done better. A few, like, mismenus and wire crossings, like the Cure 4 on Rosa at Threemus. I thought that the nuke had hit her for some reason, even though she had a Starveil on. Just a few small things like that. But other than that, I feel like I played pretty well.
Yeah, you did really well. One thing I wanted to ask you about was, what made you choose to do Baron before checking that Sheila 1 check?
One of those, like, I'm in the neighborhood sort of things. Like, fresh out of the underground. I know Baron is 2 checks, and my party is probably strong enough to do the Odin spot. So I figured I'd stop in, see what's there, and then decide on my next move after I do Sheila 1, depending on what item I'd get from Baron. Maybe it would be Twin Harp, or maybe it would be chasing whatever Sheila 1 gave me. Or what?
Makes sense.
It was an interesting start of the race with an Earth Crystal very much required and a Darkness Crystal start. What were your thoughts when you saw that opening?
Objectives, I thought, okay, I just need to find 2 items, probably. There's not likely that I'll be forged in this one unless they both show up early. We'll see what happens. And then I see the darkness start, and I get a little bit more worried and panicked since I know that, wait, now everything is wide open, and I have to decide what do I want to do, and what do I think Infinius is going to do in this situation.
had you scouted Infinius? Did you have a sense of what he was thinking?
Not in particular. I caught the Magma 1 play-in, so I knew in that one that he went and grinded basically right off the bat with the Darkness start, and with Atella, get a couple people and then blow up the moon, which is a strat that I like doing a lot, especially in practice. But I figured I'd stay on Earth and possibly look for a few more characters, possibly just stick with the party that I had at that point, since I figured I was strong enough to do the hook route with most bosses, or to clear the overworld checks. And that's about the extent of the scouting.
And it turns out that's what made all the difference this seed. He grinded up really early. Well, you waited till you got 10 key items and were in go mode.
It sounds like an interesting divergence, so I'll have to watch back the VOD and see.
So, what do you think of Alt Gauntlet at the Rubicante spot? Is that one of your favorite places for it?
I'd rather have it at a King Queen Eblin, but at the Ruby spot, at least it's manageable. You can get through it fairly easily, and with Palom, you can get Quake, at least in the first couple fights to get through it. But it's going to be slow, and it's going to be annoying no matter what. Took like a moment of hesitation as soon as I saw the blue robe, because I had already seen Water Hag, and I knew it was coming.
Well, you're 2-0 in the table, really establishing yourself as one of the players to beat. How do you feel going forward?
That's a good question. I mean, I know that I can't take any match for granted in this tournament. All the top 32 runners are fantastic. Like, Infinius might harp on himself a bit, but I've seen what he can do, and he is definitely a strong runner in his own right. I couldn't take this match for granted, and I know that I won't be able to take any future match for granted as well. I just have to keep on playing my best and hoping that it works.
All right, well, that's certainly been serving you well so far. So, Xenocat, unless you have any other questions, GG again, Pancras, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank all of you guys on Restreamed. I'm sure, or tried to give at least a bit of a show. Let's hope that keeps on.
And as that interview wrapped up, we just saw the flash on Infinius' screen, and we are now joined in the booth by Infinius. GG's when you finish.
Thanks. That gamble did not pay off, did it? Only slightly.
I mean,
oh well.
It was closer than you thought. I think the only real time losses you took were from taking those Fey March bites and that barren basement.
I mean, from my perspective, it makes sense to make those checks. I mean,
Yeah.
I did catch the Pancras' interview, and given that he just pushed through on the hook route, from my perspective, yeah, given that I had already done my demishing grind, yeah, it just made sense to push that advantage by checking those hard bosses. So I was chatting with Pancras in the race chat. It's like, because I believe, did he actually end up completing Dwarf Castle?
He did not.
Okay, so because he bounced it from that Val. Okay, so my strategy once I dived through the hook route was basically I'm going to prioritize Fey March. I guess check my freebie, and then once I've done that, I'm just gonna head straight to Moon. But turns out that Moon was completely utterly haunted, and and so were the Fey March bosses. So there's not much I could. I made my choice. I stuck to it, and it just did pay off. I actually don't feel bad about this race. Like, I always knew that Pancras was always going to be a tough race for me. So yeah, taking loss kind of stings, but in the end, I'm still relatively happy about how I played it. Just a few things I wish I could have done differently, but no, some minor flubs, some missed menus, like some indecisiveness choices here and there. But overall, I'm actually quite happy with how it panned out. It just pan happened to be required in a trash can somewhere.
Yeah, you certainly have a lot to take away, a lot positive to take away from this race. Was that? It looked like you had that plan all along. Was that the plan from the beginning?
I think Pancras mentioned it, but I do love just going early D machine. Like, I don't think that's, given that what happened in Mega Plane 1, I don't think that's a secret anymore. Also, I see, just Demetori just cut away to music just in the wrong time as it was coming up. But yeah, no, I wasn't. Yeah, so in terms of like doing early D machine, like when I saw most of the spots, it's like I thought, no, that's fine. There's no teller. I'm not going to do the D machine immediately. And then, but I was like, I'm going to check the moon character just in case. And when I saw teller, my brain went, oh, you're in trouble, by like a lot. So yeah, so that was basically when I started panicking.
Well, the only other question I had for you, Infinius, is how do you think a centaur defeats Z? I think with its hooves.
Well, no, it has to kick. No, it's kicking its butt, not beating Z. It's kicking its butt, so it has to. No, it uses forelegs, right? Or its back legs. Sorry,
I have to agree with Infinius here.
Back legs, right? That's kind of. It's kind of awkward to do that, right?
I have to agree with Infinius here. You would use your front legs.
Yeah, well, when you're right, you're right.
Look, does that mean I get a win then? Right? Oh.
All right. Well, Infinius, I know you have another race coming up soon. You have some time to recover from this. 0-1 is not out of it by any stretch. GG on the race today. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, GG. Thanks. It's only like 10 hours from now, I think, so it's fine. Plenty of time. Damn time zones. Yeah, I'll catch you all later.
All right, and it looks like we're going to head over to Randomania, where there's a race currently going on. Thanks to our streamer Zoe Vermillion, our tracker Bad Karma, and thanks XenoCat for wonderful commentary.
Thank you too, Sheep Watcher.
And thanks for joining us on RPG Limit Break. Let's head over to Randomania. Don't spoil this race for anybody who's hanging out over there, but we will join that race already in progress. So long, everyone.